Okay, so we want to use arpeggios in a musical way, and I've switched to an overdrive sound for this. So looking at what we did before, that on its own is not really going to get us anywhere. And a lot of times when we think of arpeggios, especially since people such as Yngwie Malmsteen and alike, we tend to think of those sweeping ideas and those lightning fast ideas, which are great. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that whatsoever. But if we want to use these in a really musical way that's maybe, a little bit slower or just a little bit more expressive, I'm going to give you some ideas on what you can do. Now, let's just take the top part of this arpeggio here. It's known as a triad meaning three. As we said before, we have the root, the third, and the fifth. Now, one of the things that we can do is we can do all those notes on one string. And then what we could do is slide like this and get a real nice expressive sound. Slide to the E, slide to the G, slide up to the B. Now, one of the ways that I like to play is I like to mix things up. I like to do like a bit of this and then a bit of that. And I think a lot of guitar players do. So one example here could be sliding to the E, sliding to the G, and then slide up to an A, but then bend it to the fifth. So we have, excuse me. So that way we still have an arpeggio, but it's given us, a little bit more expression. Another way is we could use a little bit of tremolo arm. You notice I'm sliding in and then just dipping the bar. We could slide into the note and dip. Okay, so here's some other ideas. We can mix up the order of the notes. So a lot of times you see people go 1, 2, 3. Okay, so instead of going root, third, fifth, we can go root, fifth, third. Add a little bit of tremolo for effect. And then what we could do is, say for example, we do that phrase I played there. Instead of just playing this as a straight note, this G here, which is the third, we could bend to it from the F sharp. So we could go. And then maybe let that down and resolve to the E. You notice what I did there? I went root, fifth, third, end, let it down. And then I played down one more onto the B, octave of the B. Okay, so let's look at a couple of other bending ideas. What we can do is we can do the arpeggio in order. We could go E, G, and then instead of playing the B here, we could bend this A, just like we did before, up to the B, but it gives us a different effect. Okay, so that's a really nice way of doing it. And then what we could do is we could go root, third, bend to the fifth, play the fifth on the 7th fret high E string, and then bend this 10th fret high E string up to the root. So now we have this. So you can see we're starting to develop a bit of vocabulary here. And just with this, few ideas, we're starting to make something happen. Okay, so let's mix up, a position, for example. We could, say, for example, take this B, or look at this arpeggio a little bit further up the neck. So we have E, B, and G. So we could go B, G, and then bend this 14th fret high E string up a semitone and hit the third of the chord. So we have fifth, root, third. And then maybe bend up to the root again. And I'm quickly playing the F sharp on the way down. But basically we're getting the sound of the arpeggio. So now we have maybe we do two bends, so we'll go root, third, bend to the fifth, and then what we do is we let that bend down and then we slide. So now I'm getting root, third, fifth, root. Excuse me. And you notice I can slide back down to the arpeggio again, so. Sorry, a little bit messy there because I'm making it up as I go along, which is what I like to encourage people to do, to take these ideas and literally just kind of improvise with them. There, another idea. Play the arpeggio dead straight. And then go back and bend that F sharp, the 14th fret high E string, up to the G being the third. Some other things that you can do with these is you can do these little sweeping ideas. If you're not like a big, massive sweeper and that's not something you're into and you just want to do a little bit of it, for effect you can go. All I'm doing is just sweeping across these strings. And I'm going root, third, fifth as I did before. And again, you can go third, fifth, root. I went up to an A there, which is not part of the arpeggio, but you can use it because it's part of the scale. But the point being that you've got that. Now, it's great to have all of these ideas going on, and I'm going to do a little bit of a demonstration in a minute to show you the sort of sounds that you can get. But the interesting thing is you really want to mix up scales and arpeggios. I mean, that's a big chunk of guitar playing right there. Unless you're playing one note, the chances are you're playing an arpeggio or a scale, especially once you get past two notes. You know, if you do this, it's an arpeggio. If you do this, it's a scale, you know, or part of a scale fragment that you might call it. But the bottom line is pretty much most of the time it's a scale or an arpeggio. And the only time you really have an exception to this is if you're playing some crazy outside things. And then even they're probably still arpeggios, just not the right ones, if that makes any sense. But if you're a good player, you can make, you know, odd sounding things work. So my point is this. Let's say, for example, E minor pentatonic. We all know this scale. If I play it here in the seventh position, some people will call this position 4. When I say 7th position, I'm talking about starting at the 7th fret, but it's pretty much universally known as position 4 of the minor pentatonic, in this case E minor. And so what I suggest that you do is that you play scale and arpeggio and pretty much flick between the two. Practice flicking between the two. So in other words, I might go. So what I did there was I went up E minor arpeggio, came down blue scale. Actually, I just added that flat 5. So up another E minor arpeggio, same again, and they're everywhere. Honestly, I mean, just you can find them easily, and I'll give you some tips a little bit later on how to do that. So my point being is that you play the arpeggio. So some scale, some arpeggio. Okay, so let's have a little demonstration with the backing track and let's see what it sounds like.